Hello and welcome to Salford Now. I'm Hiba Abu Hamida.
And I'm Sophie Green. Coming up on today's show. Salford Royal Hospital have a new animal volunteer helping to keep a smile on the patients' and staff's faces.
Just seeing the difference to patients and staff, the difference that you can make, it's beautiful to witness, and it is, like I say, it's an honour to see it.
There are proposed boundary changes that could affect people in Salford. Find out the reaction of this proposal later on.
And a Salford charity are working on a show to tackle the onset of youth violence and criminal exploration.
You know, we're hoping to drive down the rates of exclusion with our real curriculum, which is relatable, experiential and fun. That's what we get back from young people in the classrooms.
Today is the last day for the people of Salford to have their say on the proposed constituency boundary changes. The changes which are happening across the country will be proposed in July of next year. And Sam Taylor is here to tell us more. So Sam, what are the boundary changes?
So these boundary changes will define what areas these constituencies will cover. So therefore, what areas the MPs will represent in Parliament.
So tell me more about the changes that are happening in Salford and how being made.
So there's quite a few changes. Little Holton and Walkden are going to become part of Bolton South and Walkden, whereas before they were part of Salford. And then Kersal and Broughton are going to be part of Bury South.
And so what's about the public opinion?
So there does seem to be a lot of worry from the public, especially when you look at the online comments to these changes, the proposed changes. For one thing, areas that were once part of Salford are no longer going to be. For instance, one mum put that her daughter and son went to a school in Swinton that are no longer going to be represented by her MP in the town in which she votes. So there was a lot of confusion there over whether she should contact her MP if she has an issue or the MP for Bolton. And another example is that the MP for Eccles, her office is in Swinton, which is no longer going to be part of the Eccles constituency.
So speaking for MPs, how the politicians are reacting?
So the MP for Eccles, Barbara Keeley, has been quite vocal about how disappointed she is with these changes, saying that it ignores cultural and local ties. She brought up a lot of historical information, including the fact that Little Holton has such strong Salford ties but will no longer be part of the Salford constituency. It was built by people who moved from inner city Salford in World War II. So it's stuff like that that just feels like it hasn't been taken into account by this new proposal.
Okay, thank you very much, Sam.
It has been shown that interacting with an animal can help reduce stress and improve people's mental health. At Salford Royal Hospital, therapy dog Domino and his owner Millie come once every 2 weeks to visit patients and staff. Our reporter Polly Luscombe went to visit Domino during one of his shifts to find out what his job as a therapy dog entails.
Domino comes into the hospital and he makes people smile. So I like to see it as when people are in hospital and it's like the darkest hours, he brings a little bit of light into that. So they come, he has a cuddle with them, he loves it because he gets lots of tickles. And I think just having an animal round, you know, it's a bit of a change when you're stuck in hospital. It's not the nicest experience, is it? But come here, sit.
So how important do you think it is to come into the hospital and bring those smiles to the patients and staff?
Massively. I was actually in hospital for 10 weeks and I think if I'd got the chance to see a dog, it would have really, really helped my mental health at the time. It was very... I was sad. I missed my family, I missed my friends, and I think a lot of people at Salford as well, because it's such a major trauma unit, there isn't that family and friends present, so a lot of people come from far away, so it's quite nice to kind of, you know, spend a bit of time with the patients and make them smile. When I went through my trauma 6 years ago, it was animals that really, really helped me and really got me through. So I really find that that's something in the future that I want to do.
If you don't mind me asking, what was this trauma that you went through?
I lost a little boy.
Oh.
So 6 years ago, me and my husband, I went through a really traumatic birth with my daughter, and then I lost a little boy after that. So from that, I decided that I wanted to become a counsellor and help other people.
I do just want to say I'm really sorry for your loss as well, of course.
Thank you.
But moving back onto the hospital, do you think it is important, like for the future plans of the hospital, do you reckon it is a good idea to get like, more therapy dogs in the hospital?
Yeah, massively. I've really just seen the difference to patients and staff, the difference that it can make. It's beautiful to witness.
As the cost of living crisis continues, charities in Salford are amongst others are being affected. St. John Cathedral hosted a public event evening of Christmas songs and prayers with local charities. There for donations, Ali Hussein went down to find out more.
Christmas, a time for togetherness and singing, just like this. However, with the cost of living crisis still affecting the locals of Salford, the festive season this year requires a little more effort than usual. Along with the local choir group Notability, the ceremonial mayor of Salford organised the event and picked 3 charities which the locals in attendance could donate to. What was the decision process like of choosing the charities, or what did you base it on?
Oh gosh, really difficult, incredibly difficult. I spent a long time trawling through many charities registered in Salford, and I had to narrow it down to a few. So animal charity is something close to my heart. I mentioned earlier that I went to Franciscan school. My first ever image of a saint was saints surrounded by animals, and that that they deserve to be looked after and fed and cared for, as do people. So that was one of the reasons I chose that. Loaves and Fishes because of the amazing reputation they have with the homeless thing as well.
The homeless charity involved is affected heavily due to the crisis. From your point of view, just how bad are people being affected by the current cost of living crisis?
It's horrific. People thought the COVID pandemic was bad, and at that point our services changed, so we actually had working people coming to us. The 20% reduction in wage due to furlough had put them beneath the red line, which means they had more outgoings and incoming.
It's all about raising our awareness, name awareness, and raising money, of course.
According to the Office of National Statistics, 91% of adults in Britain reported an increase in their cost of living in the last 2 months. The charities involved were there to raise awareness of their services, which for Salford Loaves and Fishes is something that is desperately needed.
On an evening like this, it's probably a couple of £100, which is not enough. As an organisation, we are approaching needing £500,000 a year. While Christmas is a time for giving, charities will do everything they can to help. Ali Hussein, Salford Now.
Men have dominated the sport of rugby for a number of years, with the Red inspiring many people to get involved with the sport.
Despite the statistics shows that many young girls drop out of the sport before adulthood, Emma White has more on this.
Women's rugby has been gaining a higher following because of the Rugby World Cup and more money coming into the sport. According to figures from Sport England, in the last 5 years, the number of women playing rugby has increased from 25,000 to 40,000, with an aim for that number to reach 100,000 in the next 5 years. But more than half of those already in the sport say homophobic and sexist jokes deter many girls from playing. Feminine product brand Always say nearly 1 in 3 girls drop out of sports during puberty. 25% of those say they don't feel encouraged to keep playing. Bonnie Fleming is one of the girls that plays for Eccles Rugby Club, and she spoke to me about how more needs to be done to encourage females to stay in sports.
If girls were encouraged to do sport and were encouraged to sort of even be strong rather than just who's got the prettiest bra on in the changing rooms, then it would really encourage younger generations, especially year 10, year 11, when you're starting to become like more of a woman.
I also spoke to the head coach of Broughton Valkyrie Ladies, Sam Randall. He explained his plans for getting rugby into schools and colleges so girls are exposed to the sport from a younger age and are more likely to stick with it.
What we're going to do is we're going to build the foundation of the adults teams. So once we get a solid men's team, which we've got, then we'll get a solid ladies team. Then we'll start looking at the colts and the youngers, so we've got a bit more of a pathway to the adults team, which obviously that's what we all want. So once we get them foundations in, I think that'll be better for the kids coming down, because they're thinking they're going to look, and most of the mums and the dads will be playing here. Like my kids hopefully will be playing here, and they'll go, I want to do what daddy's doing, or I want to do what mummy's doing.
The efforts local rugby clubs are going to influence women to stay in rugby are already paying off. Jay Fordham used to play rugby in school, and although she didn't carry on playing, she decided to return to the sport for the love of it.
Really important, like for fitness as well. So.
With lots of people dedicated to bringing more women into rugby, the future of the sport seems bright.
The Salford-based charity In It for Young People are working on a production starting next September at the Lowry Theatre.
The educational theatre production called In It will be used to tackle the onset of youth violence and criminal exploration.
Our reporter Jack Holmes went down to the auditions.
Yeah, no worries, mate. I'll make sure Stacey has got all she needs for the next performance, yeah? I'm a manager. It's fine, yeah?
Audition day. A day that can give young actors their big break. An opportunity that In It for Young People charity are giving these aspiring professionals, but for a production that has so much meaning behind it. Coming to the Lowry Theatre next September, In It is a tale of triumph in the face of adversity. Set in Salford and based on real life, the play revolves around teenager Ashley Thomas as he gets himself caught up with a gang and framed for a stabbing.
They asked us what your ideal woman's name would be. How weird is that?
The plot explores the frustrations of Ashley, born into a deprived working-class family with an absent father and alcoholic mother. The story addresses social issues still faced by teenagers today, without patronising the audience that it is intended for. To help young people see the play, the charity are inviting teenagers to come to any one of 15 matinee performances for free. They believe parents shouldn't have to worry about finding money for their child to experience a theatre production that impacts them and the choices they make for the rest of their lives.
You know, school exclusions are really, really, really high, you know, and it's really, really difficult past year 9, you know, to bring a young person back into education. And the most important thing for me is what I learned later in life is the value of education. And for me, reducing school exclusions for our organisation, you know, we're hoping to drive down the rates of exclusion.
Okay. The actors all auditioning today share a common interest with Mickey's ambitions, and I think it's fair to say Connor was very happy to land the role of Ashley.
So how do you feel about playing Ashley?
I am absolutely buzzing. I just think it's such a great opportunity to perform, well, something that's been here before, but like a reinvigorated version, and with the same people behind it and the same cause. I think it's just fantastic. I'm really honoured.
The old saying, "A leopard never changes its spots," isn't one used in a positive sense. But for Mickey Dax and In It for Young People charity, they want to turn that old age narrative on its head. Through drama, they want to enable those who have experienced exclusion and dissuade them from entering the criminal justice system. Jack Holmes, Salford Now.
Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer has said that if they win the next general election, they will abolish the House of Lords. Thomas is with us with more. So, what's the latest, Thomas?
Well, Sophie, Keir Starmer has indeed said that he will replace the House of Lords with a smaller elected chamber representing the regions and nations of the UK if Labour win the next general election. So the House of Lords is made up of mostly life peers who are appointed by the monarch and on the advice of the Prime Minister. And there are critics, though, that people say that it's undemocratic, saying that some people may appoint people for political point scoring or reasons like that. So I spoke to Dr. Ben Williams, who is a politics lecturer at the University of Salford, who can see the positives and the negatives of the proposal from Sir Keir Starmer.
I mean, there is a very strong case for the laws to be reformed in the names of democracy, because it's not democratic. You're right, it's not elected. None of the members of the Lords are elected. So by reforming it and making it elected, you would be giving it a far more democratic basis and strength to its position. In its defence, the people in it are generally very experienced, knowledgeable people who've been drawn from a whole range of backgrounds, and they bring all that experience to debate and into making laws. And then the other problem you've got, if you got rid of the Lords and replaced it with another democratically elected body, the danger then is you have two democratically elected bodies, the Commons and the Lords then elected, competing with each other, and there could then be some form of deadlock in the political system, which is not dissimilar to what happens in America.
That's all from us for today. Goodbye.